It's worked. See?
Hello.
Every time. Hi, hello, and welcome to the second Three Ravens birthday live stream, or the Three Ravens second birthday live stream. Either is
Both
legit.
work.
Yeah, either is fine. Hello. And if you want to have just ask questions and stuff, because we're here mostly to just chat, do please put questions in the box, thoughts in the box, and let's just have a bit of a chin wag. Because we've been doing the podcast for 2 years as of today.
Yes, we realised we really should have got ourselves a Raven-themed birthday cake.
Yes.
Or any sort of cake, really, but we failed on that one. So if you have cake in your house, maybe help yourself to a slice and pretend you're here. We're having a slice of cake with us.
Definitely. Also, it's worth saying that we have been up since 5:30 this morning.
Yes.
So
still going strong.
If slightly insane things come out of our mouths, then we apologise.
That's why.
That's the only reason why.
That's the only reason, is it?
So, yes, the only reason. So one of the things that I wanted to start off the chat, because I said we'd be talking about the past of Three Ravens, the present of Three Ravens, and the future of Three Ravens.
The Norns are here.
So we have some fun things
to
announce about the future of the podcast. But in terms of the past, think back 2 years if you can.
Yes,
roughly.
I can.
What did it feel like putting the first 2 episodes out in the world? Could you have ever imagined that we would be where we are?
I could not. As I've said before, prior to Three Ravens, I had no podcast experience other than listening to podcasts, but I'd never thought about making one, didn't really know how to do it, and had no sense of how it was going to disseminate and spread out amongst people at all.
No.
And it was very much, I think it was quite a warm day we put it all together, actually. We were still, we've often mentioned we record near the ironing board, but in the early days, we recorded actually on the ironing board. So the ironing board being a nice padded surface. So we were sort of clustered around the ironing board. I think we were sharing a mic at that point.
We were, yeah.
It was
no, when we started out, to be fair, we had 2 separate microphones, but they were quite cheap.
Yes, those mics. Yes, yes.
But we tried to use a laundry rack covered with sheets.
Yes, sheets and shawls.
Yeah, to block
blankets.
Sound and stop it from echoing too badly.
So we've made a kind of little blanket fort.
We had made a blanket fort. Yeah, and we also had these 2 microphones, little microphones on tripods that kind of under their own weight seemed to somehow move around. So we actually, for the first couple of recordings, we sellotaped them down.
Yes.
We realised they were rustling so much.
So picture small kind of flimsy microphones sellotaped to the ironing board.
Yeah.
The early episodes of Three Ravens were created like that. So no, I think at that point when we were doing it like that, I could never have imagined where we would be today.
We've got highs from Scotch and Scones, hi from Massachusetts, hi to Massachusetts, and hi from Cheryl from Canada.
Hello.
Hi Cheryl. Hi Elaine from Connecticut.
Hello everybody. Elaine. It must be a little bit earlier where you are.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's how time works.
That is how time works.
Yeah, okay, good.
Eastern Standard Time is 5 hours earlier.
Yeah, because when we initially had the plan to do the podcast, we were like, we'll give it 3 years. Right.
Yes.
We figured it would take 3 years if it was gonna do anything, if it was gonna find an audience, it would take 3 years.
We were wrong about that.
We were really wrong. Happily, really pleasingly wrong.
Yes.
But it's very nice to look back at our initial 3-year plan.
And we were just discussing where we were 1 year ago when we spoke to you all on a live stream then, and just saying how much actually came out of that discussion that we've done in the past year. So last year, we added the cooking section to the calendar episodes based on suggestions.
Particularly from Paco. It was Paco's idea.
Yeah,
give Paco credit.
And behold, cooking section is in.
Three Ravens super sharer extraordinaire Paco, who, I mean, he's like, for the longest time, he was like the one-man Twitter sharing army. He just kept every week, just everything we posted was sharing. And now
to be fair, I think at the time I discussed doing a full-scale kind of filmed folk Nigella Lawson kitchen show. Glad we didn't go down that route, I've got to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, one for the far distant future movie.
But part of the reason to mention that was to say, if you've got ideas, things that you would like to go into the podcast,
We love hearing them.
We love hearing them. We've planned entire episodes based on just individual emails where we've gone, that is a really good idea. So do please whack them in the chat box if you've got any thoughts or ideas about things, features, like aspects of the podcast you'd like to hear more of, or just general ideas, because we're always open to feedback and interested to hear what people say.
Have we started the bonus series?
So
we did the previous autumn.
We did one series 1, without any bonus series, and we realized by the end of doing those 13 episodes that there was all this stuff that we wanted to talk about
that we just couldn't fit in every week.
It just wasn't to do with the counties, because you, like, in so many of those early episodes, you wanted to talk about like remedies and things like that.
Exactly.
And we were like, gosh, okay. At this point, we were also trying to keep episodes under an hour. So we were
something else to talk about, isn't it?
Let's peel them out and put them into separate episodes and do magic and medicines was the initial idea.
Yes.
And what else could we do aside from magic and medicines? And we brought up the other concepts from there. But yeah, and in many cases, we found episodes of some of the bonus series being more popular than county episodes.
Yeah, that's happened in quite a few instances, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. So that's
and in terms of length of podcast, that's something that's changed quite a lot, isn't it, Martin?
Well, we abandoned it, didn't we? The plan to keep them under an hour.
The original plan was episodes of 45 minutes, including story.
Yeah.
How did we manage? Did we ever manage that? I don't.
Yeah, there are some
with story too.
If you go back, there are some episodes that are about 45 minutes in series 1, but the stories are so short.
They are.
And part of editing the book, actually, we realised that if you compare the series 4 and 5 stories to the series 1, 2, 3 stories, a lot of them are much more substantial.
Certainly series 1,
when
we were finding our feet and kind of figuring out the format and everything like that, those stories are much shorter. That's good in terms of the book, because obviously varied length is great, isn't it, when you have a collection?
Within the Boggart Wood, rocking up. Evening all, where's the cake? We were just saying.
We have no cake.
We failed.
So our cake will be a cake of the mind. We'll mime the cake.
Cake of the mind. I reached the fruit bowl. I have a banana.
I have a banana. A birthday banana. Should we stick a candle in it?
I have a banana and I have Haribo. These are.
It's like a deconstructed cake.
Yeah, that's right.
It's deconstructed.
If we were like at a fancy restaurant, that's what they'd say.
You can serve it in a skull.
To be honest, Tony, within the Boggart Wood, we know that you are a baker extraordinaire and dessert maker extraordinaire.
Yes, Tony will put us to shame.
Yeah, so we hope that you've got something, at least on reheats, that you can gobble to say happy birthday through Ravens. Tape the banana to the wall and you have art. That is very true. If we'd thought of that first,
where's some wall?
and made, our walls are covered with art already. That's the problem. We'd have to take something down to tape up the banana.
We could squeeze it in somewhere. Gallery wall.
I mean, left for a little while, it will literally become squidgy enough to squeeze in anywhere. We could probably get it behind a painting and just.
Can we stop that train of thought? Thank you.
We legitimately have a problem around where to put bookcases.
We do. We've run out of shelf space, which is a sad place to be.
Yeah, so our attic is filling up with the books that we read.
Don't want to give to the charity shop, but we're keeping for when we one day have the dream library.
Yeah, exactly.
Which of course involves a staircase. Push around.
Yeah,
with
steps.
Me on it.
Eleanor wants steps so that she can do the
song and dance routine.
Bed knobs and broomsticks, isn't it? The song and dance routine and slide along.
My dream role, honestly. Eglantine Price from Bed knobs and broomsticks, as portrayed memorably by Angela Lansbury. I think in the reboot they should really consider me.
And when Eleanor is writing stories, normally up against deadline for the podcast, we do call it her Murder She Wrote time, like Angela Lansbury. She's there.
Is that happening for this week? Yes, it is.
Cheryl says, I have tea. Well, yep, I also have tea.
Happy tea.
In my skull.
Yeah. Birthday tea.
Birthday tea. Edmund Howard. Hello from Oxford.
Hello from Oxford.
We have Westmoreland pepper cake, which seems suitably folk counties-ish. Yes.
Well.
That is in the spirit of the Three Ravens' second birthday.
And we talked about Mass Morton Pepper Cake, didn't we?
We
I think.
did, yeah.
Fantastic.
And Libby says, "Good evening, lovely Ravens." Well, hello.
Hello.
Libby. Good evening to you. So yeah, for those people who've just arrived, we were saying at any point in this conversation, if you want to ask questions or just have anything you want to contribute, then slam it into the chat box,
Yes.
including ideas for things for the podcast. We were saying that the whole county cookery thing
section came about through
that all came about because of lovely listener Paco, who suggested it in the first birthday live stream.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's kind of thinking about the past. We sort of talked a bit of past, haven't we?
Well, something else, a big thing to address from the past, although it's the recent past, is you got to your Gawain finally.
Yes, yeah.
A life of kind of almost not lifelong, but certainly a very long held want of yours was to
about
retell
20
that
years.
story.
About 20 years.
So,
And speaking of which, actually, if I remove my scarf.
This is not strip show.
Only. No, we're not going OnlyFans.
This is YouTube.
Eleanor, just to get you a sense of the kind of person that I live with and adore so much. For Christmas, one of my gifts was Banisher. So
it has been whispering in his ear in the night, asking him to kill.
It has, so
we've disregarded.
So I have my own Banisher, which when it appeared, I did get a little bit teary. So yeah, much appreciated. But so Gawain was something. 20 years since when I first read the poem. I thought, God, I would love to do a telling of this, and then.
And in terms of how you did it, it was a bit of an experiment for us because we'd done the previous Christmas, we'd done the 12 days of Christmas thing and found that people were enjoying the daily releases, having a little something in the run up to Christmas. Because actually, it's a time of year that a lot of podcasts kind of rein it back because there's quite a lot going on socially. We went the opposite way, we ramped it up. But kind of no social life whatsoever.
But we've found in our. We've only had 2 years to go by to look at like the ebb and flow of when people are downloading the podcast. But Christmas is always like the biggest amp up in listener numbers and download numbers. It's like the biggest time.
So it seemed like the right time, obviously, because the story is set around Christmas and midwinter as well. It felt like the right time to do it. And you chose to do it in that slightly mad way. You're talking about Murder, She Wrote regarding me, but actually I think Gawain was the most Murder, She Wrote thing we've done. I
was flying by the seat of my pants writing it and recording it every day, but it was worth it, and I think came out nicely in the end. You're very sensibly planning yours for this Christmas already.
Yes.
So Eleanor is already at work.
I have the best intentions.
So Eleanor's planning to do this year's Christmas series, which I'm really excited about.
Similar format, although very different theme.
And more of a feminine story as well. So, we'll have more news on that to come in due course. That's future, isn't it?
The future.
Three Ravens future. Just to say, Scotch and Scone says, as a baking blogger, I love the county recipe section. We love putting it together too. Although, to be fair, it is so interesting. Well, at least I find it interesting. I think you find it interesting too. How some counties clearly have this deep legacy and like heritage in food, and some we are scraping about sometimes going, gosh,
everyone's got a clanger, haven't
they? yeah. Why does everyone have a clanger?
Has anyone tried a clanger? I've got to ask. I haven't. And
No.
I mean, to be honest, I would try it.
Yeah.
I will try most foods. I've got that kind of curiosity around weird food that I will try it once.
I still don't think I could eat graveyard pie after you suggested that one.
I'd like to know that. What's the thing everyone would like to try, and what's the absolute no? Wouldn't go near it.
Andy says, "Happy birthday from the Wild West of Galway." Well,
amazing.
Thank you, and it's lovely to see you here, Andy. And of course, happy greetings back again. Scotland.
Is it wild at the moment?
Well, I don't know. But
it looks beautiful in your photograph.
The sun was out today here, and it was so nice. There were daffodils out. There were snowdrops out. It was like, okay, this is spring.
Spring feels like it's in the air at last. Which is definitely needed.
It's super, super nice, isn't it? And Cheryl, I love the Gawain series. All your stories are so enjoyable. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. I really appreciate that.
Enjoyed them.
It's always at least a bit wild. Yeah, quite right. I can only imagine. Well, speaking of which, then, shall we start to talk about future plans? in a
Yeah,
bit more?
absolutely. So we've just started series 6, and that's 13 more episodes, and that gets us round England another time.
Yeah.
And at that point, we think we've probably done England
For
a bit.
now. For
For a
now.
bit, because we've been around the 39 historic counties twice, and we've
Mhm.
both had a pop at each of them,
Yeah.
exchanging the difficult ones.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
the ones where there's fewer things available to talk about, I suppose.
Well, Eleanor's got Rutland still to come.
Rutland round
Rutland
2.
round 2.
Rutland round 1, I think, went quite well, but
Yeah.
round 2, let's see.
Yeah, let's see how
I
it
will
goes.
dig some things up. We've been struggling to unearth somebody to talk to us for local legends for Rutland.
Oh.
We've actually approached the Duke of Rutland.
I've tried.
No reply.
I've tried Oakham Castle, the Rutland Museum. I've tried storytellers from Rutland. I tried just about everyone, and either they don't respond to my email or they just say, I don't think I'm the right person for this. So
if you have any Rutland contacts,
yeah.
maybe you want to get interviewed.
Not
Have a
like
little chat with us
not
about
like just
folklore.
your dad's old mate, but like somebody
To be
who's
honest,
got.
though, it might come to that.
Yeah, it might come to
If your
that.
dad's old mate happens to be the Duke of Rutland, that would be even more handy.
But anyway, yeah. So England will come to a conclusion in terms of Three Ravens Widdershins at the end of June.
June, yeah.
And then we were left with this question of what do we do after that? And so our immediate thought was, well, it would be silly not to do Wales, because Wales is it's obviously connected to England. It's been part of the Union the longest. And in general, I think Welsh history and culture, because it's a Celtic nation, there's loads to talk about there.
We do touch upon it sometimes. We talked about the Mabinogion, that really important text, quite a few times.
King Arthur's a common character. Gawain. There are all versions of the knights, obviously from Wales and Welsh folklore. Some people suggest that the very earliest versions of a lot of those stories we get are Welsh, but Cornwall and Wales have this relation. So anyway, we figured Wales, and handily, not that we knew this going into it, but Wales historically has 13 counties.
Thank you, Wales.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Wales.
you.
And Wales is, of course, the country of Anglesey, with the Druids as well. The island where the Druids were famously beaten back to the Holy Isle and slaughtered by the Romans. So there's loads of stuff to talk about with Wales. So Wales will be the next series we do after that, which we're really
looking forward to that, because the pair of us together, our Welsh history is quite patchy.
Yeah.
So it's going to be great to sort of really dig into that and explore it a little bit more.
And if you thought our pronunciations of some English landscape features were bad, my gosh, we're going to get in trouble.
I might have to Duolingo Welsh language.
Yeah, probably.
I always really want to try and get it right with pronunciation, and we don't always, as we definitely know. I mean, some of you may even have told us correct pronunciations for place names in the past.
Yeah. But we thought then we would probably do, and this was a big debate, because Scotland has a heck of a lot more counties.
Yes. Which has changed a bit over history as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It has.
Same as England.
But historically, there are 33 counties of Scotland.
Yeah.
So if we put
Another
the 33 counties of Scotland together with the 6 counties of Northern Ireland, that makes 39 episodes, which is a whole year.
Yeah, so like another England.
Yeah,
basically.
it would be another England. So what we thought we might do, just to break things up a little bit and give us a sense of like the world beyond the British Isles, is do Wales as the series after, and then do the 13 original states of the Union in the United States.
So we'll be crossing the pond.
So
Three Ravens first.
We are, and we've already started doing the research, because again, we are not experts by any stretch of the imagination in American history or folklore. We know a bit, but we thought that would be a really interesting way to start
Mm.
America, because it's huge. And
Especially as we know, we've got lots of US listeners
Mm.
and listeners in Canada as well. And we
Yeah.
just sort of want to kind of bring it a little bit closer to you guys as
yeah,
well.
that's right. So we thought we'd do the 13 originals. Yeah, again, handy number, because our seasons are 13. And then we would start Scotland.
The Scotland project.
The Scotland project.
Which is going to be so fascinating.
Which is going to basically take pretty much a year to do.
Yeah, I think so, because with
then
Northern
Northern
Ireland
Ireland. Yeah. So that is the plan, is basically Wales, 13 original states of the Union, then back over Scotland into Ireland.
All this stretches a long way into the future.
Yeah, so we have the plan for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 years.
Yes.
Three Ravens series.
And things may develop and
Yeah, they may
alter
change
slightly along the line, but certainly those things are things we're really interested in talking about, exploring, looking into the stories from. So it's a starting point for us.
Yeah, definitely. And also I think with the same approach that we took to the English counties, we're looking to take vertical slices through history. So almost what is the earliest aspect of recorded history from this geographical region. So looking into, of course, in America, Native American, tribal life, what we know, what we can discover, and then looking into folklore across all of those different eras. I think will be really interesting.
And of course, discovering the American folk stories.
Yeah,
it's going to be amazing.
That's it. So many of which, again, we are familiar with, but not loads and loads of them.
No.
So I think we'll develop a bit more expertise, and we'll be calling on local legends experts to help us in our research along the way. Will Martin work on his Welsh accents then? I love hearing all his different accents. Well, thank you very much. And yes, I will do my level best, but I think I'm going to need genuine training.
We might need to do. I'm not sure, honestly. The answer is when we do accents, we always try and do them sensitively and ones that we are confident we can at least take a stab at.
Yeah.
Speaking for myself, my Welsh accent is abysmal. It's very bad. I can't get it consistent. I start out as if anyone ever watched Play Days in the 90s. I sound like Poppy the cat
kids
to
TV
start
show.
with, sort of Welshish, but then it travels it travels in a bad way. So it's not one I shall be attempting, I don't think, unless I literally pick up an accent kit and teach myself.
But there's also a definite change that will have to happen in the way that we talk about things, because we will be proper tourists in Wales.
Yes, we're English. We don't have any Welsh heritage between us.
I think it's perfectly fine for an Englishman from one place or an Englishwoman from one place to mock an English person from another place. But I think
we certainly do all do it, whether it's fine or
not. Whether it's fine or not, it's part of the national character. But I think that the relationships between the English and the Welsh historically have been so complicated that we want to be, of course, sensitive, respectful, careful in how we go about this. I have family who are Welsh, part of the sort of southwest diaspora connects up. There's a lot of relationships historically between families and so on and so forth between Wales and the southwest. So I do have a little bit of Welsh in my family, but not in my blood, if you see what I mean. By marriage.
Definitely not in your accent.
Definitely.
However, Martin always takes big leaps with accents, so we may yet see it.
I'll try. I'm definitely going to give it a go a few times.
I think I'm a bit more cautious.
Yeah, well, you are naturally a bit cautious. I mean, I remember when Eleanor did the final episode of Series 1, which was the Suffolk episode.
Yes.
And you were extremely nervous to touch a Suffolk accent.
It's quite a difficult accent. Deceptively so.
Despite the fact that you had accent coaching.
Yeah, well, that's how I knew it was difficult, because I'd worked with a dialect coach when I was in a play where I needed to do the accent, and it's a challenging one to actually really nail.
Yeah.
So I was cautious.
And a lot of people from Suffolk said you did a really good job. So
thank you.
Yeah, I think you need to have a bit more confidence. I mean, I would say one of the things that has been most impactful for the two of us in general that Three Ravens has brought to our lives is more self-confidence. I think particularly for you.
Definitely true.
I don't know whether you would feel comfortable. You didn't know I was going to ask you this question, but would you feel comfortable describing how you felt about your own writing in the months preceding Three Ravens?
Yeah, I could talk about that. Really lacking confidence is the answer. And I was saying to Martin the other day, I am one of those writers, creators, artists. I imagine a lot of people experience this, who thinks once you've done something, the last thing you did, that was as good as it's ever going to get. I have peaked. I can never hit that again. And that happens to me every week. I think, nah, I've lost it. It's gone. It's never coming back. And so I go through that process quite a lot. And I think it might just be part of my creative process. But just before we started the podcast, I had really hit that point. Like, I had tried to write some longer form stuff, failed at several novels, wasn't happy with what was coming out of me at all. And I think just having the impetus to do it, it must come. There's a release schedule. And now we're lucky enough to have listeners. There are people waiting. It's really helped me so much.
So
just having that sort of feedback and, like, I don't know, all the kindness, I suppose, has definitely been amazing for me in terms of confidence.
It's made a huge difference for both of us, but I think for Eleanor especially. And one of my sneaky thoughts when I was suggesting to Eleanor that we launch the podcast, which we did with a 6-week run-up.
Yeah.
It was like, should we do it? Yeah, all right. We'll probably need 6 weeks to get everything lined up, and then we'll just do it. But then was thinking, when people hear her writing, she will get the feedback that she deserves. I know that her work is amazing. You couldn't see it or hear it, but I think, I don't know, many people probably in relationships or have friends where no matter what you say, they won't hear that they're brilliant. And it has been very special, I think, for both of us to be able to put things out into the world and go, okay, I'm taking a creative risk, but let's see what people think. And to have warm responses, I think it's...
And people have been so kind about coming along with us when we do take risks and try something a bit
done some mad
strange. When Martin decided to do an entire story in Cornish dialect and said, I don't know if that was a good idea. And I said, no, I'm not sure. I don't know if it was a good idea. And then 2 weeks later went, do you know, I think I'm going to do one in Devon dialect. Still didn't know if it was a good idea.
We've just had some messages. Chris Holden, the story of the witch in the tunnel was totally fab. Well, thank you, Chris. We've had a lot of fun stretching ourselves and trying to do things differently, haven't we? So it's been, but thank you so much to you for letting us know that it's working and encouraging, and also telling your friends, because that has been the most important thing.
It has,
like, practically speaking, anyone who's tried to run a podcast will tell you it is
and
very
I think we have a few fellow podcasters here.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to get it out there. It's hard to get seen, especially in the age of algorithm and short form video being prioritized. We're just about jumping on that bandwagon.
Thank you to the
dragged, kicking and screaming.
Thank you for the nice feedback that you that a few people have sent in about how they're enjoying seeing us in these little videos we're putting up. But it's really, really tricky when you have a podcast that you want to keep to regularly to justify doing it. And the fact that we reached a point, no small part thanks to David Crowther at the History of England podcast, who I think, him sharing us with his listeners was the first real boost that that Three Ravens received. And I have been, as I've said before elsewhere, a History of England listener, I think, since year 2 of the History of England. And so I know when David does recommend something, I will give them a listen. So it meant a lot to me that he did that. And when he did that, that really was the beginning, I think, of the podcast properly exploding. But we have some people who have been like Patreon supporters since before that even happened.
Yeah, right from the start. And that's amazing, because we understand, like with Patreon subscriptions, it's a commitment and things change.
Mhm.
You're not necessarily able to keep up a 2-year subscription to
Yeah.
a podcast. I've definitely cancelled Patreon subscriptions before, and I've just gone, oh, should I really be paying for this? And so that's incredible to us.
Yeah,
and we're very thankful.
It is. But the fact that we managed to qualify for advertising, and then the Patreon has continued to grow, has meant that we can justify carrying on and keep going and trying. And the ambition is, of course, to get to a place where the podcast is yielding enough revenue that we don't have to do 5:30 wake-ups in the morning.
Unless we really want to.
Yeah. So Eleanor, as standard, does 2 5:30 wake-ups to go to other jobs.
I do, yeah. So, and I used to be such an early bird, but it's all gone.
Yeah. But it's a challenge, isn't it, practically, to fit everything into a week to get it done.
Yeah, and it's always a bit of a last minute, but both of us quite thrive on that pressure.
Yeah,
and kind of knowing that people are waiting and they're looking forward to maybe their county coming up or something they're particularly interested in finding out more about, like with the bonus episodes. That really impels us.
This week, all the Bedfordians who've come out and said, like, I'm excited. People are talking about Bedfordshire.
Yeah, there's not too many, is there? There's the Weird in the Wade podcast that talks about a small part of Bedfordshire, isn't there? But other than that, there's not a lot of things out there for the Bedfordshireans.
Libby, well, I think what you said about creative confidence is really interesting. I had none whatsoever, and then this podcast and the very kind community that follows it has changed everything. Can't thank you enough. Well, Libby,
thank you, Libby.
You are so good,
and your writing's amazing.
It is so
loved
good
reading your stories.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And you mentioned the community. I think that's something that we're really, really lucky in, and what's so special about our podcast, because it's a lovely community. Three Ravens podcast group is a delightful place to be.
It is.
Just people sharing crafts and recipes and just funny little memes of folky things and just kindness.
Well, I mean,
so
some of the messages that we've had from people that we maybe haven't read out on the podcast, but that have touched us very much, are often about people who are having really difficult times.
Yeah, we don't read out everything because sometimes it feels too personal.
But yeah, I remember when the current conflict in Israel-Gaza started, and we had messages coming through from people who had bombs falling on their neighborhoods.
Could hear drones.
Yeah, who were writing to us to say thank you for your podcast because it's giving me comfort at the moment. I was just like, what is happening? Where, we're writing stories and like just trying to be nice and talk about stuff we're interested in. But people then in duress, coming back to us and saying thank you. It's like
back to stories, isn't it? In terms of trouble. And we know that, obviously all over the world, it's all a bit complicated at the moment.
Very
rapidly developing situations everywhere.
You could say that again.
Trying to kind of provide a point of calm and fun and a bit silly.
Yeah, of course.
And hopefully a bit of magic thrown in there too, along with some squishy bits.
Hi, Sanuva. Cheryl, I can't remember where I learned about you from. Possibly the History of England. I've been listening to that for a long time. Yeah, it's a great podcast.
It's a long history.
But like when, because I know that people, like we have made friends with a lot of, people in the chat box here, also people who've messaged to say, sorry, I can't come to, because they live in New Zealand or they're at work or whatever else it might be. But people who've become our friends from a distance. David certainly has been like that for me through some really difficult times. Like before I knew Eleanor, I was listening to the History of England podcast. But with David, I felt like I built such a personal relationship with him that when he got throat cancer, it changed the way that his voice then sounded on the podcast. But I was there for that, and it meant a lot to me to know about that, to know about his children growing up and the things that were happening to them.
When you're doing any kind of live or sort of semi-live broadcast, those changes do come out, don't they? And sharing a little bit of what's going on in your life is an inevitable part of it.
It is massive.
Like the 3 weeks or something last year when I sounded like a toad.
Yeah. Well, you weren't very
cancer,
well.
But it wasn't very well.
No, you weren't very well. But hey, never mind. It's the first time we've ever not stuck to the schedule, though.
Honestly, I lost my voice.
You did.
It's impossible.
You were not well at all, but we just got to look after you.
So
and
power through more lem sips, and we'll be absolutely fine.
be absolutely fine. Yeah.
So back to the future then.
Oh.
So we talked a little bit about where we might be going for our kind of mainline Monday episodes.
Yeah.
In terms of the others, bonus series on Thursdays, we're intending to continue. We've obviously just started the 2 new ones, Forgotten Melodies and Majors. So those 2 will continue for at least 13 each, because that's a sort of complete series while we're carrying on with Magic and Medicine and the Bestiary.
And on that, just the Forgotten Melodies, thank you for all of the really lovely feedback that we've had on that.
Yes, thank you, because it's a new thing and we're experimenting with format a little bit. It may develop a little bit more, but the feedback's been so lovely and that's really inspired us for the next few.
But one of the most downloaded episodes for all of Series 5.
Forgotten Melodies.
Yeah, jumped over most of the county episodes. I mean, folk music is a popular theme.
Yeah, music brings people together, and so many people in our community have that interest in folk songs.
Yeah, they definitely do.
And folk dance. But sadly, I can't record my folk dancing on a podcast.
And so, what are you officially calling the next episode?
It's called. It's probably called Songs of the Sea.
Right, but it's a shanties episode.
It's basically a sea shanties episode, though, and I think calling it Songs of the Sea might be a little bit too broad, but it sounds nice.
Yeah, it does sound nice.
It's sea shanties.
It's sea shanties, and they're all recorded already.
Yes,
and you guys are in for.
We've got 3 shanties coming.
Three new versions of shanties, and they are belters. So that's going to be really, really lovely when that comes out. And just like a couple of weeks now, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it's the 20th or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. When after we created our plan, Eleanor opened up a document and put all the dates for all of the episode release dates until 2026.
Yeah. As you may know already, I'm the keeper of the diary.
You are the keeper of the diary.
What day is it, my darling?
It's Thursday.
He knows it's Thursday.
I know it's Thursday because it's bonus episode day. And also it's 3 Ravens' second birthday live stream. I knew that was happening today. Yeah, most days I couldn't tell you the day.
Martin emerges from the bed in the morning. What year is it?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I go, well, what I actually say is, Eleanor, what do I need to do today?
It's true.
And she then informed me, which is essential. She looks at the diary, the physical diary. But yeah, it's really good. I love folk music. I listened to the first Majors yesterday too. I hope you enjoyed that.
A beefy episode, that one.
What, the Majors one?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think they kind of need to be because they're quite complicated topics. Like I'm having to read books to prepare.
As in whole books, not just dip for research.
Yeah, not dip or skim or just read essays, which we do quite a lot of for the podcast generally. But no, I am genuinely devouring books, and some of the concepts are really complicated when it comes to actually magic, and what people really believed. And
that's the thing, though, isn't it? It's kind of absorbing those complicated concepts and distilling them into such a way,
making them
palatable and entertaining.
It's not. You can't just make it a lecture because that would not be fun.
And also, if it were a lecture, we wouldn't be the people to do it necessarily. I mean, I find myself in the Magic and Medicine episodes talking about science quite a lot. I'm not a scientist. I think I got a C in GCSE science. You wouldn't call me for an expert opinion on science. So it's not. It can't be that, and it's never going to be that.
No. But because it's such an interest, we just enjoy doing the research anyway. But yeah, I think with Majors, it's also like when you're dealing with a human life, not just a legend, because sometimes legends get lives of their own, don't get me wrong, and they sprawl and they grow and whatever.
But biographies involved, you've got to look at the historical context of what's going on as well around that person's life.
Yeah, definitely. And that you kind of want to be respectful to the idea that maybe there's a person at the heart of what that life story has come to represent, I guess. So yeah, but anyway, really excited about the next one, Mother Shipton, coming up for that. That's going to be really, really interesting.
Did we talk about dog days yet?
We talked about it briefly on episode 0. So for Dog Days, we've also been doing a lot of research into the
Yes.
life of Christopher Marlowe.
Got our heads in the life of Christopher Marlowe, which it doesn't get your head very far in because very little is known about the life of Christopher Marlowe.
Yeah.
We know more about his work than we know about his life, really. It's a
Yeah.
lot of speculation.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there isn't a ton about the actual facts of his life, but we've got that down pat now. We understand
Yes.
exactly what happened to him. So it's taking the things that actually happened to him and then going, okay, what fun stuff do we want to do that works with that, but that's magical and folkloric and strange. And so we're hoping it will be a kind of funny, slightly scary slapdash adventure.
Mystery adventure.
Yeah, and sweaty as well. We really do want it to be a sweaty, hot London story.
Well, it's going to come out in August because we'll be on a break from the end of Series 6 and we won't be off to Wales until September.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to have something fun happening in the summer. Although summer for podcasts, a lot of people go away anyway, so it may be one of those things that people end up coming back to and they've got a little bit more time.
Yeah.
It'll be something there that's available.
Well, I've been very happy and proud of how people have continued to download Gawain. It's not like it's just limited to Christmas. They're knocking through it.
A Gawain is not just for Christmas.
But also with Gawain, like it ended up being, and this was not a plan, 17 and a half hours long.
Quite a lot.
And that people, so many people, thousands of people, spent 7.5 hours of their December hanging out with me, listening to that crazy adventure. I mean, what a wonderful thing. So thank you so much to everybody who listened to it. The amount of research you have to do on a daily basis to release all the different shows, along with writing the original stories, would be so overwhelming for me. I salute you for taking on that challenge. Well, thank you for saying that.
We have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do have a lot of fun.
Do, but sometimes it is hard to fit it in.
Yeah, I think it is difficult to fit it in sometimes. This week it's been challenging.
This week's been a big week.
Ellen's had quite a lot of work on it.
So have you this week.
Yeah, but it's a your episode week.
Yes.
So
it's coming though. The episode's all good to go.
But one of the things that definitely helps is that each week and each episode is like a present. Right, we do think about it that way.
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
it feels like getting a present. I get to listen to a lovely new story.
Exactly. Eleanor always says the day before we're going to record one of my episodes, I'm really looking forward to your story tomorrow.
And yeah, for me, Gawain was lovely because I was the first person, mostly when it worked out, I was the first person to hear them.
Yeah.
And so I'd be coming home from whatever, or actually, as it was in December, dragging myself from my sickbed and having a nice story.
Well, Eleanor was lying on the floor ill for most of the Gawain recording sessions.
It was healing.
Trying to not cough or sneeze or whatever and just listening to Gawain being red. And also laughing a bit, which was obviously great to hear her laughing despite the fact that she was so ill.
There's a problem we have actually. If we make each other laugh, we
have
to
obviously have to keep going and re-record. And lo, he was hydrated.
Yeah. Some of them you did alone though, didn't you? And it's funny, Martin always says when he records alone, he makes more errors.
I know this from doing the Heartless Knaves project, which took me pretty much a year. No, not quite a year, but it was a lot of last year that I was doing the Heartless Knaves, reading that audiobook out. And although I'm really proud of how it went in terms of how it was recorded in the end and released, and thank you so much to those people who did listen to it, because I always recorded it when Eleanor wasn't around. For whatever reason, I think it's just that performance adrenaline or what have you. But I found myself making so many mistakes when I was recording myself that it took me, I think, an extra third as long.
Because I wasn't there.
Because you weren't there. I mean, you're a lucky charm to me in many regards, but definitely when it comes to doing readings of stories and performances of stories. But yeah, I think that in terms of all the work, it is work, but it's fun work. We like to do the work.
We like to do it.
But also we like to do it as a bit of a
team.
Yeah.
And as a nice little gift.
As a gift to one another. So yeah, fun times.
Should we talk about the fairy book project as well?
Yeah, we should also talk about that.
So we're kind of going to run another little side project alongside from about mid-April.
Well, when we take a break to get married.
When we have our getting getting wed break.
Yes.
We thought it might be quite nice, just alongside of our sort of original retellings of stories, to revisit some classic folk stories as well. So we've gone back to the Lang's Fairy books, which I know a lot of people have probably encountered in their childhood,
but they're very hard to get a hold of. That's the truth.
To get your hands on an entire set of the Lang coloured fairy books is incredibly expensive.
It's a fortune. It
and
costs
quite
a
difficult.
fortune.
And who has the shelf space, frankly? Fortunately, they are available through Gutenberg, etc.
Yeah.
So we are going to be narrating those. So there'll be sort of audio versions of those. We're starting with the Blue Fairy book, and we will move through. We won't necessarily do them all in chronological order.
No.
Won't necessarily do them all if we've told tales which are a bit similar already. The aim is to try and bring out some of the weirder ones, basically, that people might not have necessarily encountered, and just give those a bit of life again, because they're hard to get hold of.
This thing, everybody talks about Grimm's, which is great, and a lot of people talk about Hans Christian Andersen as well. But the Lang's Fairy books, there's so much material in them, and they are
they're cross-cultural. They've collected stories from all different parts of the world.
They're incredible work.
Incredible.
And so what we thought is, it's all very nice putting out compilation episodes in gaps and breaks and stuff.
But you've heard everything that's in a compilation episode already. So we wanted to get out some sort of new content as well. So there'll be something to listen to that's a bit different. Yeah.
So we're going to do episodes basically filled with Lang's fairy tales. And I think hopefully that'll be really interesting.
I think it'll be fun for everyone to sort of see, because obviously we're putting out modern retellings of classic tales each week, and these are the classic tales. So I think it'll be quite nice to see sort of how things have developed, where things have come from, pick up on some of those tropes and ideas and the things that pop up in the Arne Thompson Uther Index and things like that.
So that should make for gaps in between series of the podcast to be hopefully a bit more interesting and inspiring and less gappy, because we won't obviously have to do all the reading and the writing and the research to put out those. We've already started assembling what individual ones might look like and the stories they might contain.
Also can function as a testing ground for some of Martin's wackier accents.
Yes, that's also true. I can try all sorts of things. I hadn't even thought about that.
Oh God, what have I started?
But yeah, so that's coming your way as well. I hope you enjoy them. I mean, we're big fans of like the classic reading podcast, like Tony Walker's Classic Ghost Stories podcast.
Really enjoyable.
Great show. Listen to it religiously. So yeah, we're hoping to do something a bit like that as part of the Three Ravens mix. Cheryl likes that idea. Elaine, love the idea of hearing classic fairy tales. Good. Okay. Excellent.
And there are some pretty strange ones out there. I've made a sort of initial selection, and I'm not necessarily going for your Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, the Perrault stories that I think we all know quite well already. I'm going for the strange ones. So hopefully we'll all have fun with that.
Yeah, I will not at all be blamed for the choices of tale.
No, I take that on me.
Yeah, this is Eleanor's idea, and I think it's a great one. I'm super happy to do it with you. But also it's an area where my knowledge isn't so good, because I never had access to these books as a kid, right? No. They were beyond me. I only really properly read Grimm's when I was about 14, because again, didn't have that at home. I bought myself a Wordsworth edition. I don't know whether other people are familiar with the Wordsworth editions, but they were super cheap reproductions and reprints of old books, basically.
We've got a fair few. We both like them.
Yeah, but I think I bought the entire collected Grimm's tales for about £4, and it's a book, like that. Significant. Anyway, so I'm really excited about that. That should be really, really fun. Also, we should say, at this point, that if you weren't here earlier and didn't hear us say this, if you've got questions for us, please pop them in the box. Yes. And if you've got ideas for things you would like to see on the podcast in the next year or so, please also let us know about that. But in terms of the core structure of next year, it's Wales, United States into Scotland. That's basically what the sort of rough roadmap is going to look
Yeah,
like.
with bonus series along the way. Of course, we'll keep doing our Patreon exclusives. So each month there is a Patreon only episode which comes out for our subscribers on there. And they are a real mixture of things. Sometimes it will just be an exclusive story. Other times we'll do a deep dive into an aspect of folklore that we feel interested in. Sometimes we'll go and have a wander around and look for ghosts.
Yeah.
It's all quite different. It's eclectic mix
Yeah.
on Patreon. And of course, we also run our Three Ravens Film Club through there too.
But one
Which
thing
carry
actually we were definitely looking for thoughts and feedback about was the book club.
Yes, that would be really nice to know what
Because
people think.
we basically felt overwhelmed, as we said on episode 0 of this series, just that we didn't have enough time in the month to make sure that we both could read a book, both read the same book,
get some decent comments down on it,
yeah,
do the chat as well.
Yeah, exactly. And also make sure that we were doing the administration of like putting up the votes, getting everyone's votes tallied, buying the books, mentioning it on social media. It was on top of everything else. It was too much. So,
but you know, I still like the idea of book clubs. I belong to another book club, and I think book clubs are really valuable, and I love being able to discuss what I'm reading.
Yeah.
So we are kind of toying with how we could give some version of book club a place.
Yeah. So if you have any ideas and thoughts, please slam them in the chat box, or indeed email us about it. Because one of the things that, you know, I have thought is, wouldn't it be cool if just the Three Ravens community wanted, if somebody from within the Three Ravens community just wanted to take control of the book club and just be the administrator of the book club, the keeper of the book, or the keeper of the schedule and the encourager of people to read that book. That would be amazing if anybody wanted to do that. Even if they just wanted to do it for a couple of months and see how it felt doing something like that. Because
I don't know how we'd arrange it. We'll have to,
well, probably the way we arrange everything digitally, which is, you know, via email and Messenger and things like that.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, but I think using Facebook, Three Ravens podcast group could be a good way of doing that.
Yeah.
But there are other options as well as to things that we could do and talk about. But, you know, be interested to hear from anybody who has a passion for making it happen. Because we obviously like to join in, even if we can't necessarily both read the same book of a given month, because that was one of the big problems, is that often our busyness would go in ebbs and flows, where sometimes I'd be just too busy to read the book after Eleanor had finished reading it, and sometimes vice versa, basically, wasn't it? So that got in the way.
Or I'd put it in my handbag and go out for 5 days and he'd just not see it.
Which was often the case. And also because you will read as you're going to bed.
Yes.
There's no way to get it off you.
So you prise it out of my sleeping hands.
Well, yeah, but often you put it somewhere. And I know if I go and get that book now you're asleep, I'll wake you up and then we're in trouble.
Well, the hand would just come out, mine.
Yeah, that's right.
Get off.
Because Eleanor is the earlier sleeper. I'm a night owl, aren't I?
You are indeed.
I will.
Martin's just sort of warming up into his day at this point in time while I'm kind of
there have definitely been periods of time where, I would happily go to bed closer to dawn and wake up in the mid-morning and then begin my day at that point. Whereas you are much better from the sun coming up. That's when you want to be waking up and working. And the longer the day goes on, the less you feel like you
functionality does not improve.
Maybe just a chat of what we're reading lately. That's a really nice idea, Cheryl.
It is. It's really lovely.
Maybe we could just do like a reading roll call or something like that.
I don't know if there's a way to kind of do live hangouts or something, kind of like how this is chat, but not necessarily with the video element.
Well, what's that chat thingy you use?
Discord. That's basically.
So Eleanor uses Discord, and something else we've wondered about is whether a Three Ravens Discord would be worth it.
Yeah, if the server would be useful, necessary, what we could do with it, because I know it does do all sorts of things which I have not really delved into, but it does do things.
Because basically, I'm sort of doing a constant round robin between Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, Patreon, of course.
Yeah.
And then a bit on Twitter just to sort of keep an awe in
less
there.
and less as time goes by.
But it, unfortunately,
I think like a lot of people, we are kind of keeping a Twitter presence, but not really engaging with it anymore.
Not really very.
And moving away.
Well, in an ideal world, we wouldn't be on it at all. But unfortunately, there are certain like publishers and book group organizations in the literary world that are only on Twitter.
Our publisher for Three Ravens Folktales, the History Press, are still on Twitter. They're using Twitter to promote our work, so we're still on
kind
Twitter.
Of have to be on there, realistically speaking. So, but yeah, between those, I'm tapped out really with things that I check on a daily basis.
Yes, you wouldn't want to be checking it.
So a Discord for me wouldn't make sense, but maybe it would make sense for you.
It would make sense to me because it's already something I use.
Yeah, and all the Three Ravens community. So if that's something the Three Ravens community would
like, to set that up.
Then we can definitely set that up. You have talked about doing it. You threatened to do it.
I did, but then I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with it.
Yeah.
And I think something a lot of people use Discord for is streaming themselves playing video games, and I'm not sure anyone wants to listen to my foul language as I play Mass Effect. Or maybe they do. I'm not sure. It's not great.
I'm on Discord, so I join. All right. Well, that's interesting.
We should do a little poll, see if people would be interested.
And we should do a poll. And maybe just an experiment. I think all of these things work on experiments.
They do, exactly. The book club was an experiment in the format we ran it in. We might return to the idea and so on.
Well, I think one of the things that happened with the book club is that the end product was always a video on YouTube, which was cool. But the number of people who said, I can't wait to be involved in the book club, and who then voted to take part in the reading of books never matched up with the people who could come to actually take part in the chat.
In the right time zone, all of those things. And time zone is a problem when you're doing live things like this one. We've got few people in a different time zone in the chat right now, and
which is so cool, by the way,
on this occasion, but it doesn't always.
I don't need Twitter. Favorites, Meta. Yeah. I think a lot of people who are in the Three Ravens community have just left the meta services completely.
And we understand why you would want to.
Completely get it. But just looking at our own, messages we've received, but also just our own follower numbers just took a hit because it was like, okay, the exodus is
happened. I don't think that's because we mass offended too many people. Maybe, I'm not sure.
I don't think so. No. I mean,
was it the Welsh pronunciation?
Yeah. No, I think it's just people getting a bit hacked off for understandable reasons. Who can blame them? But okay. Well, Discord.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, that's you could do that.
I can do that.
You can do that. I'm not going to probably be on it that much, but Discord is good for podcasts, in my opinion. Multiple channels and the community can run itself. See, that's great.
I like that idea.
Yeah, the community running itself is helpful, I think.
Yeah.
Because we know, for example, Pontifact's podcast, lovely human beings.
Yeah,
really,
great
really
podcast,
nice.
really fun.
And they've invited us onto their Discord chat, for example. If you don't listen to Pontifacts, it's basically like the saints section, I guess,
it's the history of popes.
But it's all popes.
It's amazing.
It's all of the popes across time, their lives, the things that he did.
But it's lighthearted, it's very funny. Definitely recommend that one.
If you're not listening to Pontifacts and fancy a binge listen, because they're trying to do all the popes throughout history and time, and then to rank them all. Which is just the most incredible project.
Who's currently the top pope?
They won't, because I've said to them before, you need to do some like current standings are. But they're waiting until they get all the way there, and then they're going to rank the popes. So fair enough. But anyway, we know it's worked for them, and Camlan as well. Of course.
Yeah,
they have their Discord. Ella from Camlan's been really lovely to us, and they use Discord as well. So all right then. The community,
done. We'll do
the Three Ravens community can do everything and all. If you have any other questions, obviously.
Yes, we talked about what's coming. I think we talked about everything that's coming. Have we? Oh well, the other thing to say is, of course, in October it's haunting season again. So time for ghosties and ghoulies and short fiction from yourselves. if you would like to
Yes,
participate
please.
again, we are going to run our ghost story writing competition again because it was so successful last year and the year before, actually.
And tell your buddies, tell your writer friends,
yes,
the ones that you know who are always like, oh, I'm not very good, blah, 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 blah.
I just don't feel confident about my writing.
Yeah, just have a go. Do it anonymously. Again, I've been up since 5:30. Anonymously, yes, yeah, they can come up with a name that's not their name if they want to. But the point is, send some
we will read
stuff
out
in.
mysterious code names.
Well, we've done that before.
Definitely.
First artist competition, we had a winner who entered under a name that wasn't their name, for example.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, it's happened multiple times already.
Fine. And so it's, we're saying up to 3,000 words again because we did the flash fiction of 1,000, and that was a bit short for everybody. Certainly be a bit short for us these days, wouldn't it? As we just get longer and longer.
Definitely would. And then, you know, in the immediate future, we sort of announced the episodes that are coming up soon, but next is Gloucestershire.
Gloucestershire on Monday or Saturday for Patreon supporters.
Yeah. So you've written the episode, but you're still working on the story.
Yeah, still working the story, just final tweaks to that.
And then whether we record that tomorrow or Saturday morning is a bit...
Maybe Saturday morning.
Because today's been exhausting. You've had... several 5:30 wake ups in the last few days. You need to get a good night's sleep and maybe won't be ready to record it tomorrow.
So it will probably come to you on Patreon a bit later in the day on Saturday, but it'll be out as normal for everyone else on Monday. And
besides, you have Local Legends, new episode of Local Legends coming out.
And you've got David Longman.
Yeah, David Longman on that.
It's a really good chat.
And then after that, for Gloucestershire, the Local Legends interviews with Dr. Anthony Nansen.
Yeah,
if you don't know who he is, he's kind of a big deal. He's like an internationally renowned storyteller. He's written, I think, about 8 books.
Yeah.
But he's also married to the very first person I interviewed for Local Legends, Kirsty Hart-Siotis. If you remember that one, she talks about Suffolk with me. So there's some quite cute moments in that where Anthony talks about his life with Kirsty as 2 storytellers living. I mean, they're a bit older than we are, but nonetheless, it's quite cute to hear.
We felt quite connected to them sort of as a writing couple. It's very nice.
So that's sweet. So that's coming out not day after tomorrow, Saturday, but the week after.
Yeah.
And we've got some other really great
Bestiary's back on Thursday.
Yeah, trolls.
Getting deep into trolls. Not the internet kind, hopefully. Maybe.
No. Well, we'll see. We luckily avoided a lot of that so far, haven't we, with the podcast?
We have been super lucky.
We have been. We've had a couple of weirdos.
Oh, absolutely. I think that if you do anything on the internet ever, though, that's a risk.
There was one person who wrote to us to tell us they actively hated us.
That did happen.
Yeah, really hated us.
We ended up thinking that they were a person who was not very happy in their own life.
We concluded that they weren't very well.
We didn't take it too personally.
So we just sort of tried to go, okay, thank you very much. Best of luck. Block button.
It's a risk you take, though, whenever you put anything out into the world. And I think it's something that does scare a lot of people off.
Oh, definitely. Loads of people. But I think for us, the wave of good, happy thoughts and feelings,
it far outweighs any kind of...
It's not even 1 to 100.
No, exactly.
You know, it's so overwhelmingly positive, which is wonderfully nice. So yeah, loads of really cool stuff coming up, even just the next week. And you know what? A new Spencer and Associates story.
I'm very excited because I get to listen to it.
It's hella cool. It's nearly finished. It's long though. It's long. That's coming out on Patreon.
We can't stop ourselves. No. I've been thinking a lot about the kind of increasing length of stories. I'd be interested to know, sort of, do people like the longer stories? It seems to be generally yes.
I think so. I think people
although obviously it's a larger chunk of your time to listen to it, but you know, you could go into more details and dig into the actual story a bit more.
Play around a bit, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I slightly jumped the shark a little bit with the Yorkshire episode at the end of last series, where the story ended up so long it had to be on 3 separate days, but it was as long as it was long.
Yay, Spencer and Associates are such fun to follow. Cool, I'm so glad that you're enjoying those stories, and we're so glad that you're...
And we have it's a very loose plan, but we do plan to carry on with those and kind of alternating, or we might have a couple by Martin, a couple by, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, we know that we've got more than one more coming this season, don't we?
Yes, we do. Although we've been having a discussion about the narration for it, haven't we?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and be interested to know your thoughts on that.
So, because we figured that we would continue with the idea of me narrating or reading, performing my ones, even though Una
Yeah.
is a female character.
Yeah, because Martin was as soon as I'd done a Spencer and Associates story, he said, "Oh, I think you should narrate all the others, even if I've written them, because you sound like her voice."
Yeah.
But I don't think it necessarily matters.
And then we enter into the same old discussion, which is, okay, well, I could then do the boy characters.
And then before we know it, we're in audio drama, which isn't what we do.
Yeah.
Big respect to audio drama. That's a hell of a lot of editing.
Oh, yeah.
But,
I'm so excited for everything coming up. Everyone, don't forget to thumbs up this video. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, I wouldn't have remembered to say that
No.
at all.
No,
so thank you very much.
But yeah, and in fact, yeah, I mean, we said we'd hang out for an hour, and over an hour has gone.
Yeah.
Easily. Easily.
And yeah, I don't think it matters who's doing the voices. I think Martin does a better Neve Spencer than I do.
Well,
I just prefer his Neve voice to the one I've done. So there you go.
And you want me actively to read Oliver.
Well.
So, well, that'll be happening. That'll be happening next week. So,
however, I will not let you be Old Stinker.
Oh, okay.
Fine.
So that's like your voice.
Honestly, voicing Old Stinker puts so much spit on my microphone shield. I'm ashamed. I mean, not ashamed enough not to talk about it live on YouTube, but slightly ashamed.
Next time, maybe you should do a photo for social media and go.
No one wants to see that.
I don't know.
It required a lot.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming and celebrating 2 years of Three Ravens with us. It's been absolutely lovely to chat with you all. Thank you
all so much
all
for
your
joining
messages.
us. It's been lovely.
Thank you for everything you do to share the podcast with your friends and your family and to keep it growing. It's wonderful. And let's keep building this thing, because one of the things that we realized last year is, in a world where, like, Joe Rogan is the biggest podcast in the world, there are a good number of people who live their lives around releases of Joe Rogan episodes. Why can't there be positive,
an alternative,
constructive, creative, like heartfelt, beautiful versions of similar? And why can't we be that? Maybe we can be that. We're not imagining.
Stick to Rogan's release schedule.
Definitely not. And we're also not looking to get as big as Joe Rogan. That's not what I'm saying. But it's more just that idea of, okay, yeah, well, I would love to be that part of people's lives, but to be contributing nice things and enriching things with some wisdom in. So let's see, maybe if we can fire up our lightsabers and fight back against this madness. I can't wait for Spencer and Co story. Loved the last one. Great. Thank you for all you do. Happy birthday and congrats on your upcoming wedding. Well, thank you so much.
We're very excited. Things are coming together.
Yeah, lovely. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And we will speak to you soon.
Exceedingly soon.
One way or another.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And yeah, have a great rest of your evening if it's the evening where you are. Make the most of the rest of the day if it's daytime where you are. And if you have access to cake, then eat some cake on us. All right. Happy birthday, Three Ravens.
Happy birthday, Three Ravens.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.